Gary Scwartz, thanks for coming and doing this with us. You've got a long list. You're president and CEO of Impact Mobile, and you're the chair of the MEF Americas, right?
Correct.
So give us a little bit of background about the MEF.
Well, the MEF is an exciting organization, mainly because it's been around 10 years. I mean, in mobile speak, yeah. That's many lifetimes. Yeah, that's a long time. And 10 years ago, when the MEF came onto the scene, they were interested in seeing how they could build the business of mobile. And 10 years ago, if you recall, was sort of when those things such as ringtones and wallpapers sort of came onto the scene. Well, the MEF were the guys who put together the business model behind, how you could actually do transactions on that. And they were the ones that helped with the licensing deals to actually get these snippets of music onto the phone. So what's happened since then is content has changed substantially. And that's why we're here talking about apps and streaming video and all these amazing things you could do on the phone. At the same time, you have all these sessions in Mobile Innovation Week talking about m-commerce and how you actually monetize that content. And that's changed because now you're not only looking at the carriers to do billing, you also have tethered billing through Visa, you have onboard near-field communication options, just tons of ways that you can monetize that content. And so what the MEF's mandate is in the market is to say, okay, how do you demystify the space? How do you, on the back end of all the speak of which platforms, and are you on Android, or are you on Apple, or are you, on BlackBerry? It means nothing if you're not making money.
Right.
And so that's our remit.
But that's the big thing, right? So, everybody's talking about the $1.99 app world, which is not a sustainable business, right? So how?
Oh, it is for Apple.
Yes. Okay. Yeah.
Okay.
Clarify.
Aptum, because that's their Marcom budget. Hey, I need as many. Every month I have to release my numbers of apps on the App Store. That doesn't help us small folk.
No. So, yeah, it's very difficult for an independent software developer to make a living selling applications at $1.99. So, that business model is essentially broken, right?
It is.
So, that's where the great thing about mobile, though, is that it's not just reliant on the app. There are 10 other business models that have emerged as a result.
Absolutely.
So how can people make money on this space with content or with entertainment?
Well, I think the key thing is to understand that mobile is not just another horizontal. It's not just another vertical. It's not just another place that you dump content.
So true.
It's a horizontal, and so it's in the interconnects that you'll make money. It's in the ability to connect this piece and this piece that you'll make the money. It isn't necessarily taking, Princes of Persia or some other property and saying, well, what's the mobile thing that I can do?
The game, yeah, it's not that.
Not necessarily.
Yeah. Yeah.
There may be applications there. I'm not somebody to speak to that specifically, but what I can tell you is that the mobile is a communication tool. It is something that is an impulse vehicle in your pocket. So if you can engage the consumer and move them from one space to another, either physically or virtually, you're going to make money on that. And so that's in the world of advertising, that's what you call a CPA, as opposed to just a cost per impression. You're actually doing a conversion. Yeah. So mobile's always been good at conversion. That's why we started this conversation talking about ringtones. Ringtones are all about click, I spent. It was all invisible. And that's what we need to get down to, is how do you make those transactions invisible? Actually, one of the things we just talked about on the panel is Ian was saying, gee, he's never spent so much money as he has over the last year on the Apple storefront. Well, I can tell you that my kids' cell phone bills have dropped in the same period because they aren't doing impulse stuff anymore. So just because people, us folk, are buying things on the Apple storefront, 99 cents or $1.50, doesn't mean that we're actually making the money that we used to make in the good old days. Right. What we need to do is reinvent the whole idea of mobile as an impulse conversion vehicle. If we can get back to that, which was the core.
10 years ago.
Yeah, 10 years ago. But put it in the context of new content. Put it in the context of, you can leverage the carrier, but you can also leverage the credit card. You can turn the phone into an M-wallet. The phone can be an affinity card. It can be a commission. Those are the areas where the convergence is where you're going to make the money. So if you're thinking of it as a vertical, you're underutilizing this opportunity. And so that's where those are my sort of words of wisdom. But I think that the bottom line is that everybody is so smart. They just need to think that mobile's a mighty big word. They just need to take out the one-dimensional, gee, I have to build something that fits on an Android in this box.
Right, right. I mean, you equated kind of like if you look at a brick wall, that all of those bricks together is the mobile industry. Yep. And you've got to pick where you want to be or you want to play in, but there's many options to be a part of it.
And it may be around the corner and the brick wall is just getting you there. Yeah. The bottom line is that don't forget things like the humble messaging piece of mobile. Yeah. Messaging is still the biggest bucket of time spent on your phone. Yes. And so the messaging bar is here, mobile web is here, apps are here. That's one thing to take into account. The other thing to take into account, where people spend their time on mobile. 83% of time spent on mobile is in the store. Then it drops down to, the 55% is spent in the doctor's office and hospitals. Then it goes down to entertainment, the J's or wherever you're spending your time in entertainment properties, and 7% in church. But the bottom line, the bottom line is you need to look at where people are spending their time, what they're spending their time with, and then you follow that consumer and you stay on their heels. Then you'll make money.
It's a funny thing because the adage around sales is always sell what your customer wants, right? So is that really what we're doing? So we're going to go back 10 years and actually make mobile an action or a buying mechanism, and then it's actually understanding where your customer is and what they want, and then selling them that product.
Exactly, and the big problem is that look, I don't want to rain on certain people's parade, but the Apple Kool-Aid is really something that has is something that has been incredibly successful, and God bless Apple. They really they've invented a whole new channel for things. But the bottom line is, if you follow the consumer behavior, they're still spending more time in their phone messaging, and they're spending more time in the mobile web. Eventually, that's where we need to focus and we just have to find the business models behind that. That's where I would sink my energy, and a lot of the strategies that we have are based on preconceptions that CEOs have of the way they like to spend mobile, and they think, gee, that's how my consumer's spending. I was just sitting with the EVP of a retail, a huge retail entity in the US 2 days ago, and he said the biggest thing that he's realized over, he's been doing, he's trying to learn what he's going to do with mobile, is that for the first 2 years of asking questions, he thought the people were using mobile the way that he uses mobile. What he's learned...
So he was looking at it from his context.
Exactly. And what he's learned is that, hey, that's not how my consumer's using mobile. And a lot of our clients come in with a preconception of, gee, I need to check the mobile box off. Yeah. And that's not what you need to do. What you need to do is to say, no, maybe you don't need to do mobile. Maybe mobile's not on your roadmap for your entertainment property. That's okay. But you just have to come up with a thoughtful position on that based on who your consumer is.
Right, right. There has to be some basis for that decision.
Yeah, you can't just say, hey, check, I did mobile. Yeah.
Well, and a lot of people are building right now, it's that frenzy, right? It was like 10 years ago, I need a website, Now it's like, oh my God, I need an app, I need an app.
And that is not
It's unhealthy. No. So we're in the middle of a really weird time in mobile when we're engaged in this kind of conversation. So is it education now? Is it, or is it just time?
You know what? I'd like to say it's education. People don't learn.
We saw this 10 years ago.
Yeah, exactly. People don't learn. They will have to go through all the mistakes. But if I can at least have words of wisdom, is that hopefully learn by your mistakes. If you're going to invest flexibly. The biggest thing, if I were to ask somebody to take away from this event, is there's a balance between bells and whistles and reach and frequency. And you need to dabble, you have to innovate, no question. But you have to follow reach and frequency because that's where your consumer is. That's where your entertainment consumer is. That is where your shopper is. If you don't have reach and frequency factored in, you're just doing vanity press. And so there's a balance there. And so if you're going to plot into mobile, take those two things into account and look at how follow your consumer, but never have the hubris to think that you'll educate your consumer.
So That's disaster waiting to happen, isn't
Absolutely.
it? Gary, thank you so much.
It's a pleasure.
Absolutely wonderful. Thank you for speaking.
Thank you very much.